Some Derry good news, some Derry good news. We all could use some Derry good news.
You know how you see a warm chocolate chip cookie fresh out of the oven, and you can't wait to take that first delicious bite and to taste those wonderfully melty chocolate chips. But when you take that first bite, it's not chocolate chip, it's the dreaded oatmeal raisin. Perhaps that's what 2020 feels like for you. Sue George suggested we try to uninstall 2020 and reinstall it because it has a virus. If 2020 were a Mac instead of a PC, this wouldn't have happened at all. Isn't that right, Sue? But 2020 isn't all bad. The world is still good and filled with good people. There's plenty of good news to share, so let's hear some Derry good news. Today's episode is sponsored by Dasani Water. No matter what, we'll still be on your grocery store shelves. Dasani Water, for your tap water, but in plastic. Let's talk about you. You're amazing. We have now received close to $15,000 for the One Great Hour of Sharing offering. Thank you. These funds will help our partners, Bridges to Community in the Dominican Republic, help their residents and people in that community with food and with housing. It'll also help Presbyterian Disaster Assistance meet disaster needs around our country, whether from natural disasters like hurricanes and tornadoes to things that have happened because of this pandemic. Thank you for your continued generosity. Also, I want to thank Skip Beckert for bringing a box of hand sanitizer to the church. Skip has a friend who runs 8 Oak Farm Distillery who started producing sanitizer during the pandemic. The church can use these bottles when we have any gatherings at church in the future or for staff who eventually are able to go and make visits. Thank you, Skip. I also want to give a shout out to Susanna Geiger, who serves in the National Guard. She is currently in D.C. with the Guard, serving in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We thank Susanna and all the frontline workers, whether doctors and nurses, first responders, military, grocery store and warehouse workers, delivery drivers, and so much more. Thank you for all that you are doing. Congratulations to Natalie Taylor, who won Derry's first ever Youth Leadership Scholarship. Natalie won a $1,000 scholarship in recognition of her leadership at Derry. Natalie has helped with children's choirs, participates in dance, handbells, and puppets. She served on the youth leadership team and often answers the call to sing solos in worship or participate in ensembles. She's someone who always finds a way to say yes when it comes to church. Congratulations, Natalie. Natalie is a senior at Hershey High School this year and will be going to Messiah College next year. We'll miss Natalie, but glad she'll be close. I'm guessing we'll still get to enjoy her leadership and her many gifts at Derry. This was the first year the scholarship was offered, and the committee told me how hard it was to select a winner because of the amazing seniors we had this year that applied. Derry is blessed to have so many youth leaders who contribute to Derry through their time, presence, and many gifts and skills. We will celebrate all our seniors on May 31st during worship. Now, I know many of our seniors have been disappointed the school year was cut short. They miss saying proper goodbyes to teachers and friends, their last prom, and are wondering what graduation will look like. The closure of schools has impacted students, families, and our community in many ways. One significant consequence of not having schools is that many children and youth don't have access to consistent, healthy meals. This is where Cocoa Packs has stepped in. Normally, Cocoa Packs tries to bridge the food gap over the weekend, but without school, Cocoa Packs has stepped up to do more to help hungry kids and families. One Derry member who has been a leader in this new venture is Tony Potter, who joins us for some Derry good news. I'm here with Tony Potter, who has been working with Cocoa Packs, a lot of behind-the-scenes work helping to get them kind of connected with local farmers and things. So, Tony, can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing with Cocoa Packs and how Cocoa Packs has been helping our community?
Sure. I mean, this all grew out of a connection that I developed through Hershey Soccer Club with Cocoa Packs. We do an annual food drive and toy drive for Cocoa Packs to benefit them. And it started ultimately with just the need from Cocoa Packs to be able to move out of the school when schools were closing. In mid-March, they needed to have a physical space outside where they could deliver food at a remote location at a drive-through. We had assets, physical assets. We have trailers at the soccer club. We had some connections to individuals with refrigerated trucks and some fencing available through the township. And we just really pulled together to assist so they could get this drive-through up at Spring Creek Church of the Brethren, which became their temporary home. Cocoa Packs is serving, about 500 students per week. 300 of the students are in Derry School, St. Joan of Arc School, and they're serving students who are really food insecure. They're at the margin. And so they also extend into Harrisburg. So they do things with Market Street Friends. So they're partnered with them. They're also partnered with the Boys and Girls Club in Harrisburg, where they distribute food on a weekly basis. So it just came about really sort of as a nimble, they need help. We had assets. We borrowed a refrigerated truck, drove it down here on a Sunday, started to set up for a Tuesday distribution. And it was supposed to be for 2 weeks, right? When the governor first told us we're closing the schools for 2 weeks. And that quickly became a joke amongst the four of us who were really sort of the folks who set up and tore down. And that's what we were doing. It was Greg Hummel, Christine Drexler. Greg Hummel was the director of food services at Derry Township School District. And Christine's the head of Cocoa Packs. And Bill Fisher and myself, who are both active in the soccer club. And so there are multiple videos with us saying it's only 2 weeks. And it was, into the 4-week time period when we were saying it's only 2 weeks. And then it became, as we moved them back, and as we realized that there was a longer period of time that people were going to be going without the food that the children usually get at the school. Mm-hmm. The free lunch, the free breakfast that they can count on during the school days. And Cocoa Packs was created to really fill the void of after school dinner, and then also to fill the void weekends and holidays. Well, as you know, Stephen, this has been quite some holiday where we've had a lot of time off. And so the need is great. I mean, they have need for meats, milk, eggs, proteins, fresh vegetables that they ordinarily would get in the meals prepared by Derry Township School. Greg Hummel and his staff do a great job in the cafeterias here in Derry Township, but that's not open right now. So there was just this need, and there was also on the supply chain, as you know, there's really a large disruption with the agricultural economic system, so we have dairymen dumping milk 2 and 3 times a week, and there have been companies that have stepped in to process that milk, and same thing with chickens, where they're killing chickens because they don't have anywhere to go with the eggs. So some folks have stepped up and they're processing eggs and they're donating eggs. We just picked up 300 dozen eggs this morning from a processor in Lebanon County, all organic eggs, cage-free birds that are organic eggs that would, cost probably $5 to $6 a dozen in the store, donated by the grace of God by this processor. So the man who raises the birds could keep the birds alive. So it's a good story. I mean, it's fascinating. Really, my role is just trying to put people together and trying to help wherever I can. like you said, a sort of the arms and muscle and setup guy.
Yeah.
I'm not doing, Christine, and they have a lot of food distribution folks. They're blessed with a lot of volunteers. Their need really, if people are looking to give, there's need for donations, cash donations. And some of the food we are purchasing as well. So we're making runs to Blessings of Hope down in Lancaster, which is a faith-based distribution center for food services. They buy food from Gordon's and Cisco and other third parties as well, including the Central Penn Food Bank.
Yeah. So you've really been able to help connect them with milk. I've seen a lot of the videos and pictures of you getting milk, and then of course now all these eggs, and you're hoping that kind of can continue to get those nutritious things to children.
Yeah, and that's really been the goal, because they're at this point, the meat, the eggs, and the proteins are missing from the school meals that these children would ordinarily get. So yeah, and we purchased thousands of pounds of ham and brought it back in the refrigerated truck that was donated from Blessings of Hope, that were, really reasonably priced and really efficiently and effectively. They were 10 cents a pound through Blessings for Cocoa Pack. So they were able to provide ham and boneless breast of chicken and a lot of really good, nutritious vegetables as well, which is part of their strategic goal, is to increase the quality of the vegetables and things that they're providing to their to the people enrolled in their program, which I think is important.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of Derry, thank you for your work that you're doing in the community for the children of this community. With all those connections, you've been some Derry good news indeed for the community and for Cocoa Packs. And
It's truly my pleasure, Stephen. So yeah, it's something that I enjoy and it keeps me busy. So.
Well, thank you for talking with us, and keep up the good work. And if you need anything, we'll hopefully be able to continue to help out.
Well, I look forward to seeing you on Sundays on live stream. And soon enough, we'll be back in the sanctuary.
Yeah. Have a good afternoon.
You too, Stephen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony, and all the leaders and volunteers at Cocoa Packs for being creative and persistent and continuing to make sure families in Derry Township have food to eat. Food continues to be an important thing for our communities, but so does access to health care. Christ Lutheran Church in Harrisburg is our mission partner church. We find ways throughout the year to partner with the church in worship and in mission. Their pastor, Reverend Drew Stockstill, is a Presbyterian pastor serving this Lutheran congregation. He joins me now to talk about what Christ Lutheran has been doing to be good news to the Allison Hill community of Harrisburg. All right, I am here with Reverend Drew Stockstill. He's the pastor of Christ Lutheran Church in Harrisburg. Many of you will recognize him because he's come and preached at Derry before. Many of you have gone down to Christ Lutheran. So, Drew, thanks for coming on and speaking with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on some Derry good news.
So can you tell us a little bit about maybe some Christ Lutheran good news? What have you all been doing during this time of social distancing and when so many things are closed?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it is nice to have the affirmation from the government that we are an essential, we have essential business. And I've seen that more now than I've ever seen before, when everything is closed around us and the congregation is worshiping online like you all are, that our church remains open because it has been essential to the health needs of our neighborhood for 20 years now. So I think it's so exciting that the real heart of the ministry of Christ Lutheran Church continues to beat in the neighborhood. It continues to be a beacon of hope and a place where people can come to have their basic health needs met, and that's essential.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that y'all have really focused your efforts on that you've seen be the needs right now in the community?
Yeah, so we've really scaled back our health ministries to focus on the nurse-run walk-in clinic. You all know we have a dental clinic, an urgent care clinic, a prenatal clinic, and a nurse-run clinic. We are focusing exclusively on the nurse-run walk-in clinic, and the prenatal clinic continues to be in operation. In part because our dentists are volunteers and their practices have closed, and that's one of the areas where we simply cannot provide those services. But we are as soon as we are able, that need we knew of, and you all knew of from before this, and that now we have a backlog of people with oral health issues that need to be seen. But we are focusing through our nurse-run walk-in clinic Monday through Friday, 10 to 2:30, on seeing patients who are sick. What we used to do is open up the clinic to also people who were just in need of some hospitality. So we had coffee, we would have 100 people a day who were in there hanging out, and often they would see a nurse. Because of social distancing, because of the need to really flatten the curve, we don't want to encourage people to come and hang out in the basement of the church. So we have a nurse who's at the door screening people, really helping folks who stop by understand, we really can only offer these services to those who need to see a nurse. And the community has really understood that. And often they'll hang out at the door and talk to the nurse about whatever is going on in their life that they didn't need to see a nurse to talk about. So we are seeing people who would otherwise go without talking to a health professional, or would go to an emergency room, but it was something that maybe they didn't need to go to an emergency room for. So that is in many ways what we've always done, but now we've really scaled it to seeing just those patients who really need to see a nurse. So we're seeing folks with wounds that need to be taken care of. We're seeing folks with infections. We're seeing kids who, we would ordinarily not see a lot of kids, but because they're not in school, they're not seeing school nurses. So we have more parents bringing in kids just to talk with a nurse, offering that sort of over-the-counter medications and things like that, and that nurse care that we've always done, but really just focusing on that and seeing the impact in our neighborhood of really noticing, of really knowing that those are people who would be going, if they could, they would be going to hospitals where the risk of infection is much higher, and it's putting that much more work, taxing the health system that much more.
Throughout all this time, can you identify something that you might say is a blessing that comes out of this, or some good news you've seen in the midst of all of this?
Yeah, I think, people are scared, right? People are scared everywhere. What I see as a huge blessing is that folks have known for a long time that they can come and talk to a nurse, and the nurse will help them feel better. And that can be because they help them with a medical issue, but often it's because they help them in just listening to them and building a relationship with them. I actually was checked in with them today, and one of the nurses was sharing with me that she said, we feel that we are providing people with so much comfort because they're scared. And I think that is such a blessing, that people in a neighborhood that where people face more burdens to health and well-being than anywhere else in the region, that they know where to come to feel just comforted. And we all want to feel comforted, and we all want to feel like we can turn to somebody who can make us feel better. And so I think that's a huge blessing. The other really practical blessing that I see, I put out a call a couple of weeks ago for the need for some face masks that we all have to have now. And there was we have seen a generous response to providing our community with those. A lot of our neighbors ride the bus. They have to have a face mask to get on the bus. You have to have a face mask to go into the pharmacy to pick up the medication you just got prescribed to you. So those were harder to come by for a lot of folks in our neighborhood, and now the health ministries is able to offer those. That's going to be an ongoing need. I think that's something that we're going to have to keep doing, even as we start to find a new normal. So I think that's going to be an ongoing way that we can continue to bless our neighborhood, that folks who came looking for socks and undershirts and things like that will also be coming to pick up a new mask.
So if Derry members were making masks or had extra, they could bring them by the church, mark For Christ Lutheran Church on them, and we'll get them down to Drew. So Derry folk, if you are in the mask making business, or you have some other resources to get masks, you can drop those off at the church and we'll get them down to Drew, just as we did for Stop the Violence last week. Well, Drew, we thank you for being that comfort, that help to so many in Harrisburg. We're always proud and honored and grateful that we get to be a mission partner with you and with Christ Lutheran Church, with all the nurses there. We thank you for being good news in your community.
Well, I thank you for the constant support of Derry Presbyterian Church. Wore my Presbyterian College sweatshirt just for today, because I knew I'd be talking to all my fellow Presbyterians. You all have been with us for some time now, and we are able to be the constant source of support that we are now, because you all helped us be able to be present in a time like this. So a big thank you for being there on our side, being there with us from before all of this and through all of this. We're very grateful.
Thank you, Drew, for giving us that update and all Christ Lutheran continues to do to love our neighbors. We are privileged to be a part of your ongoing work. We now interrupt our regularly scheduled broadcast for a special announcement.
Some verity good news, some verity good news. We all could use some verity good news.
Welcome to Verity Good News. I am your host, Verity. I am going to be a big sister. I'm going to have a baby brother in August. I'm going to share the word with my baby brother. I'm going to tell him all the things that are wonderful about the word and take care of him. I even am going to help my mom take care of him. I'm even going to feed him bottles. And I'm going to help rock him, and I'm going to show him some of my toys. And I even gave some of my toys to him as his toys, like the blue things, like my Peter Rabbit and Turtle. So that's mostly what I want to share with you today. But, just so you know, we are going to have a special, we're going to have a special new person, because it's, of course, like a baby brother. And we're even going to have a new church member. Thank you. Thank you for watching Some Verity Good News.
Some verity good news, some verity good news. We all could use some verity good news.
Thank you for that good news, Verity. Verity is indeed excited to be a big sister. We're looking forward to welcoming the newest member of our family in late August. We continue to hold in prayer other church members and families who are expecting babies during this strange time when so much is uncertain and unknown and different than what you expected. We also continue to pray for those who have longed to have a baby but have been unable to, or have had to put plans on hold because of this pandemic. Please know you are not alone, and you can reach out to the church at any time. We want to support you and can connect you to others who have walked these different journeys, who will be willing to walk with you on yours. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Some Derry Good News. If you have good news to share, send it my way. Do you know someone at Derry doing amazing work, helping others, or spreading joy? Let me know. We're all in this COVID world together, so let's make the best of it by being good news, helping others, sharing joy, and spreading laughter. So in that spirit, here's a special duet of A COVID World. We live in a strange world. Social distancing orders. We're all now teepee hoarders. I just want to go outside. We applied for a loan, but they ran out of money. I don't think it's real funny. Even the Lakers had applied. A COVID world. Will it ever end? I wish I knew. The government tells us no about where to go, but it's really for our safety.
A COVID world. Thank you for live streaming church soon, but we'll be together soon at church till noon, eating post-worship fellowship snacks with you.
Post-worship fellowship snacks with you.
Meetings now are on Zoom. I want a virtual background. Wait, I don't have any sound. Why did the host just mute me? A COVID world.
What is truth? What are lies?
When will so many people I long to
I'll
see
write a letter.
honesty take class? When will this pass? When will we go back to how it used to be? Every week was surprise.
When will Zoom only
We should
school
pay
be
teachers
through?
better.
We can't go anywhere. There's time to spare. Living in this COVID world with you. A COVID world.
COVID
A
world.
new
A
way to
new way to
be.
be.
Cover your face
6 feet of space
between you and me.
Some Derry good news, some Derry good news. We all could use